one first for Coach Leach. Go ahead and get us started, Theo.
Could you get a sense of the excitement around Pullman on Saturday? I don't know if you spent any time around town or just kind of the aftermath of that win.
Not really around town. You know, it was really cool out there on the field, which a ton of people, and then you know, traffic, and you can tell everybody's excited, honking horns and stuff like that. And then I had a bunch of people in town that kind of randomly before the season decided this was a game they were going to come visit. So, you know, I was just pretty much at the house spending time with them. So we had a whole bunch of folks there, including, you know, Andy, a guy that coached in England that, you know, took me over there one time. He brought his two sons over. So it was all pretty random that it happened to be this game, and all of a sudden, boom, it's game day. So it was pretty good.
When you kind of watched film of that third quarter, could you get a better sense of what happened offensively, defensively, why both units kind of regressed?
Well, I think a couple things. I don't think our tempo was the same as it was the first half. I think that the ball didn't necessarily bounce our way, and then, you know, we had to outlast it. And it was, as long as a streak of just real powerful play as the first half was, the third quarter I thought was kind of long too, and then you just kind of fight through it, just keep doing your job, which we did, and then I think we won the fourth quarter, so.
Do you have any sort of relationship with Coach David Shaw?
I know him just from meetings. You know, he's a nice guy. You know, nice guy, and always on a Nike trip with him. But you know, seems like a good guy. Does a good job.
Why do you think he's been so successful over the years at Stanford?
Well, they were pretty good when he got there. You know, and I think he's done a pretty good job keeping that wheel spinning. You know.
Right now, you guys are leading the Pac-12 in sacks. What can you say about the job that Tracy and the defense have done on getting pressure on the quarterback?
I think Tracy and Jeff Phelps, our defensive line coach, I think they've done a good job, do a really good job coaching technique. Have some little wrinkles from one week to the next that I think have proven to be pretty challenging. And then our players play really hard, and I think that's been key too.
Is getting pressure on the quarterback, is that kind of like one of the common denominators of derailing any kind of offense, you'd say?
I think that's the most important thing a defense does. I think, I mean, there might be something else I'd have to think about, but I think the most important thing a defense does is affect the quarterback. Somehow find a way to affect the quarterback. You have to affect the quarterback. I mean, there's a difference between sacking him and affecting him, but you have to at least affect him. And, you know, so I think that's very important.
You talk about keeping the outside noise outside the team after a big win on game day. How do you plan on keeping doing that throughout the rest of the season?
Really reinforce it, and you know, hopefully we're disciplined enough to do it. We'll see, you know.
Have you had a chance to read the Yahoo story that kind of disclosed a few text messages that you had sent to Larry Scott and different officials in the Pac-12?
Yeah, I read the story. I can't comment on it though, you know.
If you were kind of running the review process, the replay process, how would you kind of go about it, and would you make any changes, or if it was kind of up to you?
You're gonna have to write that one yourself, you know. Yeah.
What part of Stanford's team are you most impressed with?
Well, you know, their defensive front's always been the toughest part, and I'm kind of curious. We'll see how they are this year, and then, but they have some new faces. But overall, just defensively and their front, I think, is, and then offensively, I think that traditionally their O-line's pretty good. Now Stanford's kind of changed their style of play. They're throwing it a bunch now. You know, they used to always be grind, play action, and now they're throwing it quite a bit. So it's a little different to mention. It's offensively, it's a different Stanford team than we've played. Defensively, it's you know, it's almost like spark plugs. They pulled out old ones, put in new ones. Really, you know.
On Saturday, I noticed some upperclassmen scout team guys got to suit up for the game. Is that sort of your way of rewarding them for hard work and practice?
I'm not sure who you're referring to. We basically, because we're only allowed 70, and then, so basically it's the guys you're gonna play with, and then we'll have some scout team player of the week guys. If you're scout team player of the week, then we dress you, you know.
How valuable is it to you to retain, committed, hardworking guys on scout team?
Well, I think it's real important. That's where Taylor Comfort came from. Taylor Comfort's having a great year. Parker Henry had a couple great years. Those guys are kind of byproducts of that, so I think it extends your resources as well as you get good looks on scout team.
One of the things that kind of slid under the radar with that win is that you guys are bowl eligible now. I mean, obviously you have bigger goals than just being bowl eligible, but what do you think it says about this team that they were able to do it in 7 games?
I think we played real hard. We played together, and I think we've gotten up for each game. We haven't been perfect. We have to get better each week, but I do think as a unit we've been committed to doing that. I think we want to get better at it and do it faster, and that's always kind of the battle. And it definitely will be this week. But part of it is we have a very coachable team. This is one of the more coachable teams that I've ever been a part of, and just simple. Everybody's on the same page. Everybody's pulling the same direction. I think some of that comes with coaching. I think we've got some really good coaches that all complement the efforts of each other and pull the same direction. I think we got players that way too, and I think it's refreshing to go to work every day and all of a sudden you say something once and typically it starts taking shape.
There's been a lot of teams who have quote unquote been in control of the Pac-12 North this year, and now it's kind of your guys' turn. Do you think that is going to be able to help you not fall into the other pitfalls that other teams like Stanford, Oregon, and Washington have?
It's difficult to say because everybody we have left is a really tough team. Everybody that we have left has beat somebody, and everybody that we have left, hell, most of them have been ranked at some point, for what that's worth. So, yeah, they're all good, and they all can all get in. They're all going to try.
You talked about them being tough teams. I think right now the Pac-12 North is the only division in the country that has 4 ranked teams in its division. Why do you think there's not more made about how good this division is in particular?
I don't think about it very much. I don't know. I don't know. I think part of it is one thing that maybe helps or that the media jumps on and is somewhat understandable. In some conferences, you have some clear-cut front runners, some clear-cut team to beat. This is clear-cut the team to beat, has been over the years. Like you have an Alabama or an LSU or somebody, and then you got Clemson, and then some of those guys. And our conference really doesn't have that, so it's not like you got this so much the comparison. This is a team to beat, and everybody's wrapped up together. It's kind of a slugfest, and I've said this for a long time. If you had a tournament with the bottom of our conference, with the bottom of anybody else's conference, we'd crush the bottom of theirs, And what makes that difficult and what makes that imposing is, there's some games throughout the year in other conferences where, you're not as threatened, you're not in as great a jeopardy as we are in this conference. In this conference, they can all get you,
Stanford's allowed quite a few passing yards per game, but only 7 passing touchdowns. But what kind of changes when teams get into the red zone against them, and why are they so effective at kind of preventing passing touchdowns?
No, they're just big. They're big and strong and aggressive like they've always been. I'm not sure entirely. Utah kind of had an inclination to run it a little more. So, yeah, we'll try to throw it in there then. Try to do it more often.
Have Have you seen any film of JJ Arcega-Whiteside, their big tight end? If so, what do you see from him?
He's a talented guy. You know, he's a huge target, but runs kind of like a receiver, has, you know, ball skills, and can move around like a receiver. You know, he's kind of a hybrid guy that they kind of move around and throw jump balls to.
Mike, last spring when you started looking at film of Gardner at East Carolina, did it strike you that he would maybe be especially well suited for your offense?
Well, I thought so, but the bigger concern really was how quick could he adjust? Is he an adjuster? And then he'd been to a lot of schools, so you say, well, he'd been to a lot of schools, so he's had a lot of practice adjusting, but he'd been to a lot of schools, so how good is he at adjusting? And then, turned out he's pretty good, and he's developed, I think, over the time. Off the top, I thought he was tough. Off the top, I liked the way the ball came off his hand quick. Off the top, I liked the way he was very competitive and he was accurate. And then, you know, he didn't take many tackles for loss, but he wasn't a full-time starter there either, you know. But then, you know, just looking at it, I was kind of curious why he wasn't. And then, but yeah, I don't know, sometimes you get enticed with somebody that's got some really good measurables or something and try to think you can get the one really good play every time, and it takes a while to do that. So I'm not saying they're wrong, but I'm just saying that, you know, I don't know why he was overshadowed exactly, but he did play some, and he looked real competitive out there when he played.
Among the guys you were looking at, did it kind of end up being a no-brainer to go after Gardner?
Well, it was a no-brainer to go after him, but you never know what they're gonna do. You know, if you go after one, you don't have any idea what he's gonna do. Now, one guy, of course, I can't say his name, was at one school, talked about transferring, then changed his mind and didn't transfer, you know. And then, so you kind of get in a conversation with all of them that you like the best you can if they'll talk to you. And then occasionally there's some that really want to talk to you that you're not quite as interested in, you know.
You mentioned the fact that Gardner wasn't a full-time starter at this point last year. I don't believe he was starting. I don't think he started starting for that team until November. And now he's leading the Pac-12 in passing yards. What has he improved upon to make this big leap?
You know, I just think that, because I don't know what went into their evaluation. There's different people that value different things, you know, quarterbacks and different things at positions, and they're trying to accomplish different things on offense. So I don't really know, you know. You know, in our case, he's just real competitive. He picked up the package real fast. He's extremely smart and elevated the play of the other people around him. And sometimes you end up on, you know, your last go-around, your last hurrah. I haven't dealt with anybody more motivated, so I think the motivation and determination alone is a big part of it.
So it seemed like when he was committed to Alabama, he was kind of interested in becoming a coach after his last season. Do you get the sense that he would be a good future coach? Does he ask questions and kind of engage you on that aspect of it?
Yeah, he'd be a really good coach. Part of it, he's just a really smart person. I mean, he's, you know, none of my quarterbacks have been dumb. Some not as smart as others. You know, Gardner's one of the smartest ones I've had.
Let's go to the phone line. Any questions on the phone line for Coach?
God, I hate this room. All right. I'm gonna go upstairs and not cough for 3 hours, you know, goodness, so.
Any questions on the phone line for Coach?
Bobby, your little man in that little machine, he's taking a nap.
Yes. Okay, back in the room.
With Stanford running back Bryce Love kind of in and out of the lineup all year pretty much, does it kind of alter how you prepare for a standout player when you don't know how much he might play or if he will play or not? Or how does that kind of alter the preparation there?
You know, it doesn't a ton, because they're gonna play somebody at running back, and then, and that guy will be a quality guy, and so you have to account for it, you know, and then, you know, you just do the best you can. I mean, one guy might be harder to tackle than the other, but you know, what you have, control over is getting position.
Anything else for Coach? Last chance on the phone? Okay, go ahead, Femi.
Well, this is not a fan question. I just
Okay.
want to ask a different question. On more of like a philosophical level with the air raid approach, I know Desmond Patman on Saturday went as far as to say you're a mastermind in X's and O's. I was wondering, do any NFL coaches come to you? Because I know there's been a lot of guys who played for you, who put quarterbacks into the NFL, who are having a lot of success with Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield. Do coaches come to you in the offseason, maybe try to pick your brain about what you see in terms of how you attack defenses or anything like that?
We get a lot of guys in the off season. We get a lot of guys in the off season, and now I've got coaches all over, and I'll hear about you know, guys that come through here having gone to them as well. Get a lot of foreign coaches. You know, last spring we had 2 or 3 from Japan. We had 2 from Mexico. Well, then we had the 3 coaches from France and the guy from Italy. But we get quite a few overseas that come through. Then the NFL, everybody gets everybody's film now. So, you know, they get our film as fast as we get our film. And so, but you can see things out there that we run, no question, or things that that I've been involved with running since Iowa Wesleyan College. And then, you know, occasionally somebody will call and ask on this route or that route, you do it this way or you do it that way, you know. And then, so yeah, you get some. And then, you know, if you go to the NFL stuff, those guys are all real approachable, and of course invite me out to, you know, check out their camp and stuff like that, which I go to sometimes if they if I can squeeze it in, you know, because I like going to those their camps and watching their stuff. But our camp starts right there, so you have to hurry and get into theirs and go to yours, you know.
Were you able to get to any camps this summer?
I didn't go to any this summer.
What was the most interesting thing you saw on the field after the game Saturday?
The most interesting thing. Well, I guess just the general thing, because I was kind of locked into the game. I didn't know that they were going to rush the field, you know. And so I'm walking, across the field, and it was Bill or somebody grabs me and says, says, look, they're rushing the field. We need you to get you on the 20. So as soon as you shake his hand, let's get there real fast, because they're gonna film some stuff, and you know, as that's happening, there's a bunch of people, so that's pretty cool. And then, you know, did the thing, and off we went, so.
Anything else for Coach? All right, Femi.
All right, our fan question of the week this week came from Facebook, and it sounded kind of like a cry for help, so I figured I'd ask you. There's a woman who's concerned about her husband and what fantasy football does to him. What are your thoughts on fantasy football and the impacts it can potentially have on people's lives?
You know, I don't even know how to play fantasy football. I don't even know how to play it. But there are a ton of people in fantasy football. Like, I've got relatives that have never played any sports in the thick of fantasy football. I've got friends, you know, that are, you know, old friends, like grandparent types. I'm a grandparent, so let's go a little even older than that. And so then, that are into it. And But we, I mean, I think it's good. I think it's all really good. Cause I think it brings people together, it elevates the interest in football, which I think is good for, certainly football, certainly coaches, and really I think everybody, cause anything that brings people together, I think is very good. And anything that brings volumes of people together and allows them to enjoy each other's time or company, I think is good. And so despite the fact I don't even know the rules of it and couldn't begin to describe it even in a general way, I think it's really good, but I also think it's like anything, it can be obsessive. So I think, you know, the wife either needs to shut his computer off or she needs to join a fantasy football league. But I'll get my daughters, if somebody's ahead in fantasy football, they'll start bragging and you'll hear about it. And they'll, you know, and they'll race to the TV or the computer or whatever to figure out who did what. And no, I think it's been really good. And you're asking me really kind of on a subject I really don't know very much about, but I just hear it in the air and just hear it, people talking about it, people doing it, and just general descriptions of, yeah, I have so-and-so on my team and he did such and such, so, you know, that type of thing. Well, I have so-and-so on my team and he was injured, but he'll be back next week, you know, that type of stuff. So, don't know how to play, but people are having a lot of fun with it, and I think it's done a lot of great things for elevating football and the product of football.
Is this something you'd be interested in maybe after coaching, finding out a little more about it?
I would test it, you know, I'd test it out and see, probably. But I'd have to be kind of educated on how you do it, and how you pick and who you sort it out. And then, as far as other teams, I knew a lot more. You know, like right now, I know a lot about my team. I know a lot about our team. I know a lot about what we do. I don't know that much about other teams other than the ones we play. And then in the off season, I'll, you know, get film and we'll check out a bunch of teams, whether college or NFL around the country, that are doing schemes and things that I like, just to check out and see and consider. But when I was in law school can get, let's just say this, that law school is not captivating every second. You don't go to your Carol with this book bag, the most gigantic, you know, books bigger than the Gutenberg Bible, and, you know, a stack of them, and march to your Carol and say, oh, isn't this awesome, I get to sit here, and then if I'm lucky, I'll have time to go get some kind of fast food. And so there would be some procrastination on my part, and so I would read the sports page of the LA Times, cover to cover. I mean, I'd read everything, just, you know, as an excuse to not go up those stairs. And I'd read the Daily News, cover to cover. Then I'd read USA Today, cover to cover. And then I'd think, you know, there must be some in the entertainment section that would interest me just a little. And so then and at that point, I knew a lot about all kinds of sports. I mean, I could tell you who was where, who was gonna do what, who was this, and, you know, who was gonna win, and why this team was gonna win and not that team. You know, so I was kind of an expert on it then, to be perfectly honest, and I haven't really been since, but I do know about our team. It's all, you know, that's, so it's kind of a different deal. When you're out, if I was out, studied it like crazy, you know, I think I could break 500 in fantasy football. Yeah.
Anything else for Coach? All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.